Dearly beloved and fellow Bible readers, even as we continue with our journey through the Bible, welcome to day 124 of the 365 days of the Bible reading challenge. This is applicable if you are watching via TikTok. This should be day 124 of the 365 days. Now, if you are watching from YouTube, this should be episode 158 of the Bible or of the TTB with Pastor Nesh. TTB means through the Bible with Pastor Nesh. So through the Bible, okay? TTB means through the Bible. So we say it's TTB with Pastor Nesh or through the Bible with Pastor Nesh, and it's a continuing journey. Today we have a long read, so I wouldn't want to spend a lot of time on the intro, but I must give you a recap. Maybe you are seeing this for the first time. We have been reading the Bible, and right now, and we are reading it chronologically. We are using a chronological Bible study plan, or Bible reading plan, and so it leads us how events followed each other. And right now we are studying the story of King David. We have reached a point where he has now ascended to the throne, and now he is king over all of Israel. Do you remember, for those that have been following this with me, do you remember that we read 2 Samuel chapter number 5 and read it halfway? We reached, I think, verse 11 or thereabout. So now we are going to continue 2 Samuel chapter number 5. We will continue from where we stopped and then finish chapter number 6. So today we are reading half or a portion of 2 Samuel chapter number 5 and then chapter number 6, and then we will also continue with 1 Chronicles chapter number 13, 14, 15, and 16. That is why I'm saying we have a long read. I don't know if it will go up to the third segment or third session, but the reason why I'm saying that session is because we do this in portions of 10 minutes each, or they are about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we cut and go to the next session. We started doing this to make sure that we capture every person out there. We know some people are not fans of very long videos on YouTube or even on TikTok, and so at first we were doing long videos, but then we changed because we saw there are some people that we were losing along the way, and so we said we will be reading the same portion of the Bible that we should be reading for the day, but we will be doing it in portions of 10 minutes each. So we will read up to where 10 minutes reach or thereabout. I say 10 to 15 minutes. I think the biggest we have done is 15 minutes or 14 and a half minutes since we changed the model. But so we read up to where we push it a little bit above 10 minutes, but then we don't go beyond 15 minutes, okay? So we read up to where, then we go to second section, then we go to that section, even to fourth section. Some of our episodes have had even four sections or 4 portions. But let's go into reading. That I think is an enough introduction, right? So we start with 2 Samuel chapter number 5. We start from verse 11. For those who are joining me and they're wondering why we are starting from verse 11, is because we have already read this, the first part. The first part of 2 Samuel chapter number 5 covers how David ascended to the throne. Now we left it at that and went to read 2 Chronicles to see more details of the story. Now we continue from verse 11 up to where the Lord is leading us today, or where the Bible plan is leading us today. That is 2 Samuel chapter number 5 and then chapter number 6. We finish it. Okay. Verse 11 says, "And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David and cedar trees and carpenters and masons, and they built David an house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shammua, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Solomon, Ibhar also, and Elishua, and Nepheg, and Japhia, and Elishama, and Eliada, and Eliphalet." Verse 17 says, "But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it and went down to the hold. And the Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into mine hand? And the Lord said unto David, Go up, and I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into thine hand. And David came to Baal-perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord hath broken forth upon my enemies before me as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal-perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. Verse 22 says, And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry tree. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of going in the tops of the mulberry trees, that then thou shalt bestir thyself, for then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. Verse 25, which is the last verse of 2 Samuel chapter number 5, says, And David did so, and as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until thou come to Gazer. We go to 2 Samuel chapter number 6. One of the things we will notice with David is that he was always inquiring of the Lord. Even if he knew that maybe God was with him, he would not do anything before he had asked God if he should do it, and God gives him a go ahead. And God gave him different strategies for each and every battle. Sometimes he tells him, go up and fight them. Other times he tells him, go behind them, like we have seen. 2 Samuel chapter number 6, verse 1, the Bible says, Again David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000, and David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal of Judah and Baale of Judah, to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah, and Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart, and they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God, and Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps and on psalteries and on timbrels and on cornets and on cymbals. And when they came to Nacon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. Verse number 8, And David was displeased because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed-edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-edom the Gittite for 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed-edom and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord has blessed the house of Obed-edom and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-edom into the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they had bare the ark of the Lord, they that bare the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, and David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. Verse number 16 says, and as the ark of the Lord came into the house of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through the window and saw David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought the ark of the Lord and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, and to everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house. Do you understand what has happened here? Verse 19. It is like they were taking Holy Communion. Do you see? Because everybody, the men and the women and the children, they were given a piece of bread and a little wine and some meat here and there. It is like they were taking Holy Communion. Anyway, we continue. Verse 20 says, then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovered himself. She was like rebuking David for dancing before God until, he was exposed. Verse 21 says, and David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord which chose me before thy father and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord, and I will yet be more vile than thus, and I will be base in mine own sight, and of the sight of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of. Of them shall I be heard in honor. Verse 23, which is the last verse of 2 Samuel chapter number 6, says, therefore Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death. That is the last verse of 2 Samuel chapter number 6. And that is where we will put a pause, and then we will come back and read 2 Chronicles 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay? God bless you.